Generations ago, Americans were promised dignified healthcare, retirement, and housing, among other basic rights. Congress boldly enacted Medicare and Social Security, socialized programs that remain incredibly popular today. But the mandate for universal housing went unfulfilled. Instead, Congress patched up our systemically racist housing policy with stigmatized means testing, underfunded vouchers, and high barrier mortgage subsidies. These half measures actually widened inequality and continued segregation into the 21st century. Congress then handed the keys to big banks who mowed over public lenders and drove our economy to the brink of collapse. Working people spent trillions to bail out the world's richest banks while their executives escaped on golden parachutes. They ripped us off. The median cost for a single-family home in Honolulu is now $795,000, which means residents need to make $200,000 a year just to afford an average home in my district. Hawaii is short over 60,000 homes, and most of my classmates have already moved out of state, and I'm afraid about my son's future. But it's not just Hawaii. For every 100 low-income families in America, there's only 35 affordable homes. Only 1 in 4 families eligible for assistance receives any, and those who live in existing public housing are underfunded, treated as an afterthought, and often evicted from their homes to make way for the wealthy. Literally, nowhere in America can a minimum wage worker afford basic rent. Yet politicians in both parties continue to rely on the same institutions that created our housing crisis to fix it. We need radical change. America needs housing for all. In Sweden, a country of 8 million people, public developers built over 1 million homes in just 10 years. In Vienna, 60% of residents now live in social houses. And the quality of life is so high that people of all incomes want to live in them. In Singapore, most residents spend only 23% of their income for brand new 3-bedroom units. Meanwhile, I, like many of my peers, pay over 40% of my income for a single-bedroom apartment built 50 years ago. America's housing status quo is shameful and immoral. It's time for the Medicare for all of housing. Our goals are simple. Build 10 million social houses over the next 10 years. Keep rent under control and provide a home for every American. Congress should invest directly into building social housing in high-need areas like Hawaii, while providing federal loans with a 0% down payment everywhere. State and local governments or nonprofit developers would administer the programs funded through the federal government. Housing for all would also include rent stabilization and a National Tenants Bill of Rights to protect renters from unjust evictions and ensure that a majority of rental housing costs less than 30% of the median income in that area. Then we should tax vacant units and second homes and investment properties worth over $2 million. Luxury developers, their corporate tenants, and price gouging landlords have been buying out our politicians for decades. But when working people come together and demand change, Congress will be forced to act. Housing for all is possible, but only if we lead with the same conviction that brought forth the New Deal and deliver on America's promise from generations ago.